there's still so much more out there to learn and discover. I've just begun, though time sprawls behind me untidily. Turning the corner in my mind, it's often a shock to find out how deeply I've ventured in, and the path I've taken, lost in a tangle of leaves. Before tea, I was working for a large multinational corporation, producing financial documentation. I know, it sounds fascinating, doesn't it? Shareholder reports, IPO prospectuses, and merger agreements aren't great topics for conversation over dinner. I had plans to do something else, something I could be proud of, maybe start a tea company. But later. Then my father got cancer. He was 65. He had plans. I returned home to London from a life in New York and spent my time in the hospital with him, often curled up at the end of his bed. I laid my head down and he stroked my hair. The cancer spread rapidly to his brain. We reversed roles, and I sat beside his bed and stroked his hair. It snowed big, fluffy, cinematic flakes over the Royal Marsden Hospital the afternoon he took his last, rasping breath. He died within 3 months of being diagnosed. I decided not to go back to corporate life, not to delay any longer before plunging into the world of tea. When I got cancer myself, 2 years later, just as I was starting Rare Tea Company, it certainly disabused me of the notion that I had time to waste. I had gleaned a great deal from my years in the corporate world. My job had taken me across the globe. I knew how to get things done and the kind of business I didn't want to be in. I didn't subscribe to cronyism, old boys clubs, or the tacit understanding that ethics comes second to share value. I wanted to get involved in something that actually meant something to people's lives. I couldn't just sit passively in the dress circle any longer, looking down at the action on the stage. I set out to work directly with farmers, to travel to their homes, to understand their lives, to support them where I could, to move from grey corridors and windowless rooms full of paper to a vivid life of twisting mountain roads, emerald green gardens, and cerulean skies. Conventional wisdom would have had me buy tea from a broker, stick it in a tea bag, get some nice packaging and focus on the PR and marketing. But where would have been the adventure in that? I had fallen for a lovely leaf, not any old bag. Finding the best farms myself and working on a direct trade model pitched me into the complexities of global shipping without the support of a buying team or a transportation department, without anyone at the start. New routes to market had to be created at both ends, from supplier to customer. Back in 2004, few people in Britain were familiar with loose-leaf tea. My adventures were certainly not founded on the cold, hard stare of common sense. Chapter 1. The Solway Firth, southwest Scotland. My dreams of tea had been infusing, quietly, for some time. They started in the drawing room of a grand old lady, Diana, in a grey granite house near the coast of southwest Scotland. I was perhaps 5 or 6 when I was old enough to hold a cup and saucer. Tea was poured along with Diana's stories of India and served with great ceremony in fragile bone china cups. I was surprised and happily terrified to be handed something so precious. I could have bitten right through the thin lip, crushed it up between my small teeth. The tea was Darjeeling, the name of a place far, far away that I could taste in sips, right there in Scotland. From the teapot, twisted gleaming amber ropes. Scented steam rose from leaves picked on the slopes of hot mountains where monkeys swung, while I looked out over cold hillsides of rough grass and sheep. We spent all our holidays in Dumfriesshire, where we had family with space for cooped-up London children.